Kai stood in silence, being looked upon by Akira-san. He wants Yudo, his little brother, to be happy more than anything. But with Akira in the picture, that won't ever happen. Akira-san, on the other hand, is going crazy, being pleasantly happy about the situation, eager to take a picture or set up a hidden camera before they met up. Things aren't the same like elementary, which left Kai to beg Akira for her to cut ties and break up with Yudo. Akira can only exclaim her sarcasm, calling him cruel. She ponders if she would do something like that for free. She wants something of an equal deal, or some sort of trade. Kai gets the idea, pondering if he would take Yudo's place and go out with her. He ponders that he has to break up with his current girlfriend, which Akira abruptly stopped him for a moment, exclaiming he doesn't have to break up with Shiryan, but instead they should stay together and go out with her, having two women right beside him. Hearing this, horrified Kai, seeing her in a completely different light. Yuto the next day ponders why Akira haven't read his messages at all day. She usually responds quickly, but oddly enough she didn't. Shortly after 3 days without any reaction from her, he realized he got blocked on his socials. At school, Yudo spends time normally like nothing happened, but in his thoughts he still tried to remember if she has any other social accounts in order to reach out. His eyes wander, trying to catch a glimpse of Akira-san, but as what he suspects, Akira-san is avoiding him, as they don't pass each other at school anymore and don't see the conspicuously colored braids at all. With the sudden turn of events, he seems at a loss, as he doesn't have the slightest clue of what had happened. Although at least the last time they saw each other she looked happy and was smiling, exclaiming words like seeing him next week. That night Yuto is spaced out in the living room, which Kai seems to notice this as he has been out of it lately, questioning if something happened. Yuto brushed it off, leaving the room awkwardly, trying to excuse himself. As he left the room, Kai whispers the words sorry. In Yuto's room, he talked to his friend, calling him out for being totally dumped, although the reason seems unclear as he zero clues on the situation. His friend over the phone called out towards Akira's past boyfriends, which kinda angered Yuto hearing this, seeing as how he got dumped. But he made a point that Akira still had a lot of lingering feelings for her ex-boyfriend, calling her out that she must have went straight back together with her ex. Akira then made statement pointing towards her ex being with someone else, no, which he knew the ex-boyfriend. His friend then made the suggestion Akira found a new fiery love for someone else, as it looks like she doesn't need a backup anymore. Yuto is in disbelief, although it seems his friend was right, as he doesn't have anything to say at that point. As they played the game trying to forget Akira, he still ponders that she should have at least told him to stay away and not be in her life anymore. Late that evening, as he slept soundly, a small inch of light could be seen where Kai seemed to check up on his little brother to see if the coast is clear. We then caught a glimpse of Akira-san as they both sneaked in upstairs. Kai warns that she is only allowed for 1 hour. She seems tense and nervous, having her hair down, showcasing his overcrazed obsession towards him. We flash back to the time they met a deal. Hearing his words, he ponders how does she knew about Shiryan. She revealed knowing from Yudo. She is envy of their relationship, seeing them close and walking around school. Although they both broke up before, but even then she doesn't want to give up and want to learn from about what kind of girl Kai wants to go out with, which she plots to observe and be his ideal woman, asking him to show her. Kai seems confused, suggesting that she wants to become like Shiryan too. Akira agrees, which she still is insane as ever. Normally for Kai he would have instantly turned her demands, but he doesn't want his little brother to suffer nor destroyed their bond. He agrees on the terms and condition as Yudo came beforehand and everything else can wait, although Kai sets rules in the relationship as they both have interests in it. The condition was Akira has to not meet up or contact with his little brother, and in exchange she gets an hour once a week to have a date with him at his house. He then also states that during those times they won't do anything physical, and abandon from getting near Yuto. And she could spend following their dates with Shiryan as long as she doesn't get caught. Hearing this made her attention goes somewhere else, admiring his room and breathing heavily. Kai, on the other hand, find the situation anticlimactic as he found it a little bit too convenient for him. except for the weekly dates in his room. Although it's a bit nerve-wracking seeing as Yudo usually stays up all night on long weekends, and on weekdays he usually goes straight to bed, he seems confident in being careful as to not get caught. He has mixed feelings about this. Akira, on the other hand, is filling her lungs with the scent of Kai's room, shivering from the air heavily. Kai noticed this, which made her embarrassed and plopped down onto the table, asking that he shouldn't worry and not mind her at all. Akira exclaims that he should just go do normal stuff, especially with Yudo. This made Kai at ease, not expecting her words. He also exclaims that she shouldn't plant some weird gadget here. She silently flinched at the idea and promised not to do anything of that sort. As days goes by, they were watching a drama film movie. Kai seems to enjoy it and find the atmosphere to be perfect for their date together with Shuryan. He looked behind him where Akira seems to be tailing them. In order for him to be happy, he has to at least forget about her stalking from behind. As the movie ended, they parted ways. As Kai got home, he seemed to notice that he arrived earlier than Yudo. He sat down in his chair, breathing a sigh of relief as the day ended again. He ponders that when someone is watching you, when you're acting like always, it gets to a point of tiresome. And tonight it will be his fourth at-home date with Akira, 1 hour per week as promised. Akira sat there not doing anything. He wonders if he could still call it a date at that point, as he doesn't understand why she's obsessed with being the girlfriend. But compared now to when they were together, things got a whole lot calmer. Before then she was jittery and nervous as always, where it got to the point she was clingy and all over him. It last ended with him having to break up with her, leaving her to be stuck, exclaiming of forever waiting. He seemed to fall asleep, and upon checking his phone it was already 3 a.m. Akira was texting him, which made him nervous and shocked as it was already past 4, and upon looking outside, Akira waited the whole midnight standing in the rain with an umbrella waiting. She seemed unbothered, looking at Akira with a pleasant face, leaving him to be wary. Shortly after seeing him she left, and texted him to make it up for next time, as he seemed to fall asleep. We are then shortly given a flashback of when Akira was still a little girl, as her mother mentioned it would have been nice if she was a boy and not a girl. As Akira was still in her mother's womb, she heard that her father passed away. This made her mother of wanting her to be able nice and good just like her father. But things doesn't go smoothly when you pretend to be another gender, as her classmate questioned if she was really a girl, as he kept using the words directed at men and wearing pants. As she got home she welcomed her mother, and almost wronged her words using a feminine first-person pronoun, which made her mother angered and slammed the table. Her mother seems different, which made her to accept what she was supposed to be in her mother's eyes. At school her classmates gossiped about her startling and giving them a scare. And she doesn't seem to also fit in with the boys. Ultimately this made her to be at a loss, as she doesn't have a slightest clue on where to position herself. At home her mother called out that she still hasn't made a single friend, as she all ever do was study and nothing more. Her drunken mother seemed to still be in grief, questioning her existence on why she can't be more like her father. As high school rolled in, she seemed to dress like a girl and act feminine. She got a part-time job and everything, which surprisingly her mother didn't said anything about, and in fact they slowly began to stop talking to each other. All her life her mother never allowed her anything, and when she finally got the things she wanted she cried over and over again. She still felt a bit guilty, as she tried to put half of her first paycheck into the house, but her mother would never take it or use it. In her head all she ever pondered was if she ever grew up to be her father's substitute, then maybe her mom would gladly accept it. Unbeknownst to her, the boys at the school seemed to talk about her and liked her from a distance. Which later she got approached by another woman who was supposedly a classmate of her in elementary. As they approached they questioned her if this was her high school debut. Akira stopped them midway, questioning who exactly she was. This made the girls shoved her over a flight of stairs. As she fell she was caught by Kai in the nick of time. As they were left alone, this made her fall in love and see Kai as a hero, and immediately made her to confess. At first she approached Kai if he had any girlfriend. Then as time goes on they got closer and closer, but in the end Kai seemed not too keen on having her around due to her overbearing personality. Which as they broke up, she knew she was going to be all alone all over again. But she never gave up and did her best, and now she's the girlfriend, although in secret. She doesn't have to worry anymore, as no matter how many times they fell apart, in the end Kai and her will always be together. No matter what happens, that night when she arrived home she silently went to a room which upon entering she had a room full of Kai, with pictures and posters plastered all over the whole showing her obsessed personality and Yandere characteristic. That night she ponders what she should request for compensation, as she also thought about getting a part-time job and practicing to be more like Shuryan. Early in the morning, as he had breakfast getting ready to leave, Yudo came down looking sluggish as his face was all red, which indicate he got a fever. Their mother seemed to push him out of the way, giving Yudo priority instead of him. As they headed upstairs, Kai was left all alone and not be bothered by being left out. It has been like this way for him ever since he was a kid. Even when they were eating food, Yudo was the favorite and was deemed to be the official child, as Kai was from a previous father from a past marriage, which in the end he basically didn't exist to them. The only exception was when Yudo was around. This treatment and behavior was the norm for him, even asking for things like towards his stepfather. But still he sees himself pretty lucky being able to be as a child, being sheltered and eating, wearing clothes and having his own room. But most of all, he doesn't get beat up by his parents. As he went home he noticed Yudo in the playground, and for him he hated his brother, being an ignorant, careless good boy. But even then, all that luck, he knew it was all under the condition of being a good brother, which was his purpose, and he knew that. He always protected and approached the people who hurt his little brother, making them nuisance go away with his way, asking politely in an aggressive manner. Shortly his little brother seemed to get closer towards him and his friends. He still feels weird about it, but his perspective changed as he seemed to notice that Yudo was making something special of a figurine for him, as he always looks super cool, making it for him as a gift. This gift made him feel happy, as it's the first time he ever got something from someone not his parents, but from his little brother. And from that day onwards his focus in life became clear, as the only thing he wanted is to make Yudo happy. Even if it's having two girlfriends to protect that smile. Back to the present, as they ate, they chatted well with their mother, having a normal but sane treatment, oddly enough. But that night Kai was with Shuryan, where she laughs hysterically towards him for being bad at bowling. They soon arrived near a convenience store, stopping for a bit. Shuryan seems to suggest that his mother is not home today, which she then got the bright idea of inviting him to eat at their place. As they arrived he was warmly greeted, even though on short notice. Shuryan's dad seemed carefree, as he seems to like him coming over, considering he's the only guy in the house. Kai appreciated the warm welcome, questioning if he could help with anything. As he sat down, Shuryan claims that he is liked by her parents a lot, although he doesn't seem to have met her mother. But to their surprise, her mother came home earlier, making them in a panic. As she walked in she questioned Kai, which he introduced himself formally. Shuryan's mother became eager to know him, being enthusiastic about knowing all sorts of information out of him. Even questioned going as far as if they were using birth control, which made Shuryan to be enraged and embarrassed, as she knew this would happen. Her mother claims this is something normal to ask someone who would be part of the family in the future, exclaiming he wouldn't entrust Shuryan to a guy who would pull something like this. Kai became confused hearing this in a wholesome way. As they sat and ate for dinner, her mother called out to her eating less rations, pointing out that it must be due to Kai happily teasing their daughter in front of her boyfriend. As the night ends, her father insists of driving him home, and insists on wanting to have a man-to-man talk with Kai-kun. leaving Shuryan no other choice as it seemed fine with her dad after all. As he was driven home, the father mentioned of her wife taking a fond of him, which made Kai to be thankful, although he questioned why do they treat him nicely, as he haven't done anything to them to make them like him in the first place. The father reveals that he didn't really change even how you act between them and their daughter. As such, it's pretty easy to imagine that he would treat and act the same way with her even if they are left alone together. He also pointed out that her wife questioned what he wanted to do after high school, which was what all he needed to know. This made Kai feel a bit guilty considering he is hiding things from Shuryan. He gets asked if it was something that could hurt her, although he assured it was nothing evil or illegal. In the end, he made a bold claim that rather than be unreasonably trusted by the people who might become his family, he ponders he should tell them things beforehand. Hearing this made the father laugh uncontrollably, as he didn't expect hearing this, although is grateful that he met his wife tonight. The father points out that even though he's still in high school, he thinks seriously about them and their daughter. But as parents, they believe in Shuryan much more than he does, as even if he and Shuryan broke up, they are certain she would still be happy in life regardless. Which is why he should be a bit more relaxed and have confidence in the relationship they had. In school, Yudo is trying to comfort a fellow classmate, which from a distance the class president seemed to notice that he meddled with other people's lives. But he himself have been acting down lately, suggesting that he should not be involving himself too much in other people's heartbreaks. Yudo became dazed as he thought he was doing everything right. Turns out the first time that someone noticed calling the president to be very observant of him, which left her to silently collect herself. 2 weeks ago, as he was chatting with his friend about being able to be given approval of being boyfriend and girlfriend, he suddenly remembered the time when Shuryan was still pursuing and putting effort chasing his brother. He then gets questioned if he ever got his own stories like his friend of being interested in someone or being dumped. Although he seems puzzled, he fondly remembers about Akira, although he can't say it, probably due to circumstances, which he replied of not having any stories or no one at all in his life. Even though he still thinks of Akira from time to time, he still ponders how she is doing. As he waited near the station, he could overheard the class president's voice, which upon approaching her she seemed to have lost something. She then revealed losing a super memorable and one-off keychain. It seemed important, which he suggests giving one which he already has, but the class president refused, not wanting another one as someone important gave her that keychain a long time ago. He questioned why she was having it out and not hidden, which made her boldly exclaim that would he rather choose to have it on forever, or keep it hidden because it's precious. Yuto seemed to understood this, apologizing for saying something weird as he joins in on finding it, which in the end they seemed to find it together. Later that night, Yudo was reminded to not go to sleep and stay up until 1. At first he doesn't seem to get it, but as soon as the clock hits 1, he came down upon his brother's words. But to his surprise he met Akira standing inside their hallway in a dazed, confused by the sudden confrontation. Before this happened, Akira was happily imagining the events that can unfold, as she can demand whatever she wanted to make up for last time as Kai didn't met the condition. As she arrived, she also couldn't believe she was facing Yudo-san. The two of them had a surprised face, questioning one another. Kai seems unbothered by their reactions as he calmly asks that they should go to the living room. As the three of them sat awkwardly, Kai explains that they are both confused and would like to elaborate on what's going on. As for the past month or so, for one time a week he was meeting up with Akira-san before everyone else had gone to bed. Yuto is surprised hearing this, as it was all for the condition that Akira stays away from Yuto. Enraged, he questioned why his big brother decided all on his own without telling him. Kai called out to Yudo on how many times have he lied about this, as he already knew what kind of person Akira is. This left him speechless, as his brother already knew their arrangement. He apologizes as it was his bad, as it would be much faster to deal with Akira-san directly and doesn't want to start unnecessary trouble. But later on Kai realized the way he was doing things wasn't the right way. Vividly remembering the words of Shien's parents, he'd proceed to end this relationship and facade once for all, begging Akira to stop. Hearing this, Akira freaks out, mentioning that if Shiryan finds out, a poor and ignorant woman like her will get hurt. As seeing her boyfriend has been meeting his ex late at night without doing anything, calling him out if she ever believes something like that. Akira already knew she would stoop low, revealing that Shiryan already know earlier this morning. He came clean to Shiryan and apologetic towards her, which of course he got the negative end side of the stick. Even though he already listened to Akira's future plans, she hasn't done anything in the past month because of that, although thankful he stands firm that both his girlfriend and little brother is valuable to him. Whether Akira tries to copy Shiryan, there will never be a substitute for her. Exclaiming that he doesn't need her. Hearing his words struck Akira where she immediately turned Yandere all of a sudden with malicious intent. The three stood in silence where Yudo the simp tried chasing but was stopped by Kai. As the older and mature one, he apologized for doing things on his own, but he won't stop him from dating whoever he wants, and would always look out and help him. After all, he will always be his strength. Hearing this, he remembered Akira's words. As they are old enough to do things on their own, he is aware they were all in the wrong and they came in the right track due to his actions. But Yudo seemed anxious, claiming that if he relies on him, he would just cut away Akira out of his life again. As he left, Kai felt relieved but anxious. Akira became gloomy walking down the street, as ever since she was born until middle school she never became a substitute for her father, which in the end she gave up on being loved by her mother and went off to doing things on her own. But shortly after met Kai, a hero she never knew existed, and though everything would be alright from then on. But right now she doesn't have any answers on how to keep him in her life. And because of her anxiety, overbearing personality, she became too reckless. As she stood above the overpass, she decided if she ever had another chance she would remodel herself to be exactly the girl of his dreams, as after all, Kai doesn't need her. Her mother doesn't need her, but most of all she doesn't need herself. With overwhelming emotions she decided to become a boy staring at Truck-kun, where she decided to jump over, but this action of hers was stopped by Akira.